God, I gotta get used to this hellfire.
Is that smoke?
No, everything's fine.
The grass isn't going to cut itself.
I know, I'm on it. I'm in my own comic book. I'm a superhero, and I still have grass to cut. You know what? Go to mavenscomic.com right now and get your very own copy. I mean, as little as $8, and guess what? You can even be drawn into the comic with me. Well, evidently, I have chores to do.
What's going on, guys? Antonio here. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up for me, and let's get into it. So we're on the Sports Illustrated website, si.com, and they put this list out, 20 greatest WWE wrestlers of all time. And I went through the list, and there's someone that is missing, but let me actually go through I'll try to briefly. Okay, at 20 is Becky Lynch, and she's the only female on this list. And I like Becky Lynch, but let's actually get through the list. Mick Foley, and I know Mick Foley put this video out the other day, and he says, I like Mick though, but I know some people are upset because he didn't endorse the right presidential candidate in their opinion. He endorsed, whatever. But Mick Foley in the business is a legend. Chris Jericho, boom, there you go. And number 17, CM Punk. Love CM Punk. Actually thought he'd be a little higher on this list. Andre the Giant, another one that definitely I thought he should be in the top 10 at least, right? But Andre the Giant's a legend, right? So Randy Orton, RKO, love him. Big fan of Randy Orton's. He definitely deserves to be on this. Edge, all right, the Rated R Superstar, boom. All right, Roddy Piper, man, yeah, definitely another one that I cannot disagree that he belongs on this list, right? Kurt Angle comes in at number 12. I think he's a top 10 guy in my personal opinion. Kurt Angle's one of the greatest to ever lace them up, but that just means that the top 10 better just be the best of the best. Again, Macho Man Randy Savage at 11. That's another top 10 guy for me. Love Macho Man Randy Savage. Bruno Sammartino. I was just a kid when Bruno Sammartino was doing his thing, and he's a legend and held the WWF championship for the longest reigning time in history. So, but I mean, Bruno Sammartino was a legend. But yeah, I don't have any history with him, but you'd always just hear like, oh my God, he held the championship for over 4 years and blah, blah, blah. And all this kind of thing. So 4,000 plus day reign. Number 9, the best there is, the best there was, the best is that there ever will be. Bret Hart, the Hitman. Love Bret Hart. He's definitely a top 10 pick as well for me. Shawn Michaels, the showstopper, Mr. WrestleMania. You cannot deny that either. Triple H. Wow. Now there's a time where I would not have thought that Triple H would be he definitely wouldn't be a top 10 guy for me, but he belongs on this list. Triple H, especially what he's doing now in his retirement from the wrestling business, and now he's actually running WWE creative and stuff. So him transitioning from being in-ring talent to actually being the guy that's calling the shots and putting Shawn Michaels in position on NXT. He definitely deserves to be on this list, but I never thought he was what they call Bret Hart the excellence of execution. I thought Triple H was definitely a good in-ring worker, but I never thought he's not Bret Hart. And I don't necessarily think he should be, if we're just talking strictly on wrestling ability, that he's a top 10 of all time. But he definitely, if you say top 20, I give him a nod there. He definitely belongs on the list, but I just think he's a little high on the list. But, if I'm wrong, Undertaker, wow. Yeah, Undertaker definitely belongs on this list. Number 6. So as we're getting closer to number 1, we're gonna, but he's definitely a top 10 guy for me. So I have to give him that respect. Undertaker. Roman Reigns. I love Roman. I don't know if he's top 5 for me. I'd put him in the 20s. That's my personal opinion. He'd definitely be ranked in the top 20. I don't know if I'd put him in my top 10 just because I don't know. Like I said, there's not, him taking so much time off and then coming back and then he's going back again. And some of that has to do with him battling, leukemia and the whole deal. But I love when Roman Reigns, especially like the Bloodline Circle storyline reinvigorated him for me. Definitely like Roman Reigns. I just not sure he would be in my he definitely wouldn't be in my top 10, but I'd put him in my 20. John Cena. John Cena, you cannot, the ruthless aggression era coming out of that. He carried the company for so long. You got to give John Cena a top 10 spot. I don't know if he's in the top 5, but he's definitely a top 10 guy. That's my personal opinion. All right, so John Cena definitely belongs there. Now, this is where it gets tricky for me. The Rock, the people's champ, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. Man, The Rock, I have to give the Rock's definitely in my top 5. So he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So he's number 3. Now, I had some issues with number 2 and number 1. So let me get in here. Okay, so let's go to number 2, the immortal Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan definitely is a top 5 guy. If I'm being honest, Hulk Hogan was the person I would pick to be number 1, but they've got him at number 2. But so let me, actually, I want to read this part. Hulk Hogan is to pro wrestling what Babe Ruth was to baseball. He is a godfather and a pioneer of what the business has become and will be known as WWE's first megastar. Helped take the business from small arenas to small arenas to stadiums. So yeah, like I said, Hulk Hogan would be number 1 for me. That's a fact. Now, my number 2 would be the person that they have at number 1, which would be Stone Cold Steve Austin. So having Rock at number 3, that's fair, because if The Rock is number 3, if Hulk Hogan's not on the list, for me, it's Stone Cold and then The Rock. But Hulk Hogan is on the list. So Hulk Hogan for me is number 1, Stone Cold would be number 2, and then The Rock would be at number 3. That's my personal choices, but they've got Stone Cold Steve Austin at number 1. But now, did you notice that a name was conspicuously missing from the list? Where the hell is Ric Flair? Ric Flair is not on this list. Now, maybe they were like, okay, yes, Ric Flair is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, but most of the stuff that he did, when they talk about he's 16-time world champion, most of that 16 times was in NWA and WCW. He also held multiple championships in other territories from the territory days. He was champion Japan and did, different things. But Ric Flair should be on this list. When he came to WWE, his first run in WWE was very short, or WWF at the time. It was very short. He ended up going back to WCW. He actually said Vince let him out his contract because he started seeing that certain things weren't going right, and he still had a little time left on his contract, but Rick said that Vince let him out of his contract. He went back to WCW, obviously came back after Vince ended up buying out Turner Sports to WCW from the AOL Time Warner merger, and he only paid like $4 million for it total. But he came back. They used him, and, he was part of Evolution, and that, he ended up, becoming tag champs, and I think he had the U.S. title or the Intercontinental. He probably had both, but I mean, at different times, Rick had championships. Rick is such a staple. The retirement match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, that was incredible. They put his they put his robe in the Smithsonian. Ric Flair belongs on this list. And I'm sitting there going, they left him off and they put Becky Lynch on there, who actually WWE had to pay Ric Flair. Ric Flair owned the trademark on the man. And, to be the man, you have to beat the man. That was one of the multiple trademarks that Ric Flair owned. And they Becky Lynch started referring to herself as the man, and Ric Flair was like, hey, I own that. They cut him a check, and then he signed some stuff and allows her to use that. But that's his name. So I started going, why did Sports Illustrated leave Ric Flair off this list? And at first I was like, is it because he is a Trump supporter? He hosted a fundraiser for Trump and is publicly coming out and saying make America great again, and all this kind of stuff. But I was like, if that's the case, we got multiple Trump supporters on the list. We've got Undertaker on the list, who's a Trump supporter. Shawn Michaels is a Trump supporter. The Undertaker is a Trump supporter. And we have Hulk Hogan, who is a Trump supporter. I suspect Stone Cold Steve Austin is also a Trump supporter, but he has not publicly endorsed him. But that's multiple guys that are on the list that are Trump supporters. The only issue is Ric Flair has some other issues that come from women making claims against him. There was the woman on the so-called plane ride from hell that filed a lawsuit because apparently they settled the lawsuit. So I'm assuming that this is since they actually paid the woman off, that Ric Flair did in fact expose himself on the plane ride. And then there was another woman that came out and said some stuff about Rick. So I'm thinking, is that why Rick's there? Because like I said, it's not the Trump support stuff, because there's at least 4 Trump supporters and possibly 5 if you got Stone Cold on there. So that makes me, I forgot Triple H. I forgot Triple H. Triple H is definitely a Trump supporter. So that would be, I guess 6 Trump supporters on the, so you got Triple H, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, like I said, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan is one, so I'm saying, so those are guys that are, that have been open about supporting Trump. Ric Flair hosted the fundraiser for him, the whole deal. So I don't know. I don't know if that's. I think it's more about the women, and you're talking about Vince McMahon and allegations that he had. So most likely it has to do with the fact that Ric Flair has some allegations against him and not his political affiliations, because if that was the case, all these other guys would not be on the list. But what do you guys think? Get in the comments. Should Ric Flair have been on the top 20 greatest WWE performers of all time, or does my earlier point about him getting most of his glory in other promotions, does that hold weight here? He's all-time great, but he's not an all-time WWE great. Either way, let me know. Give me a follow on this channel. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on X. We're on Threads, all at Ikari Press. Type in mavenscomic.com. It will take you to my Indiegogo campaign for Maven, which I am doing with former WWE superstar Maven Huffman. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out.